Dak Prescott has reportedly turned down a contract from the Dallas Cowboys that would pay him $30 million per year. Is Dak Prescott worth that type of money right now? No way. But I will explain why turning down the offer is actually not a bad move for Prescott. And Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin are both holding out, and I'll discuss why I think signing these running backs to long-term extensions is a bad idea for their current teams. So sit back, relax, and take a seat. Courtside. Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Courtside. I am your host, Andrew Cohen. It's been a while. I was at a summer program for a couple weeks. I was on a couple road trips, but I'm back, better than ever. Going to see a lot more episodes here for the rest of the summer, hopefully heading into the school year. It's going to be great. And what I want to talk about today is Dak Prescott. So the news came out about him turning down this big contract, $30 million a year from the Cowboys. The immediate reaction was, oh, what is this guy doing? He's not even worth that money, and he's going to turn down that type of contract. What an idiot. And I was guilty of that. But I looked more into it. And it's not as bad of an idea as you may think. So let's consider the risks and the benefit. The potential risks of not signing the contract now and going into the season without an extension. There's two main risks. Number one is injury, which is the biggest risk. That's a risk for anyone whenever you bet on yourself and don't sign a contract. The number two risk is a poor performance, right? He struggles, the team struggles, right? Just doesn't work out this year. But no player should be betting against themselves. If you do, you have serious confidence issues, and I'm not sure if you're a starting quarterback, I want to invest in you. Those are the two risks. Those are the two risks that I see from Prescott's perspective, and both of them aren't huge risks. But here are the benefits. And here's why ultimately not signing the contract now is actually a good move. So let's consider it this way first, right? Dak Prescott knows, he's looking ahead. And he's looking ahead to next offseason and saying, all right, who would the Cowboys potentially pick up and move on from me for? Right? Three options. Free agency, trade market, and the draft. When you look at free agency, there's three groups of quarterbacks in my mind. Number one, you have the veterans. You have Tom Brady. You have Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning. It's hard to see Brees going anywhere besides New Orleans. Hard to see Rivers going anywhere besides the Chargers. If Eli Manning's on the move, it's because he stinks with the Giants, and he probably should be retiring. And Tom Brady, it's hard to see him leaving the Patriots. But even if he does, if you're the Cowboys, you have to be trying to create sustained success. I don't think signing these veterans is going to be a smart move when you have Dak Prescott right there that you can go ahead and re-sign. You want to create sustained success. You want to create, another Cowboys dynasty. You got to be going younger quarterback. The second group. This is a group of good quarterbacks. You could bring them in. They could start for you. Maybe they pan out. Maybe they don't. The group here: Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Teddy Bridgewater. I'll start with Bridgewater because he's the easiest one. He's going to be the starting quarterback in New Orleans, I would assume. He re-signed with them this year to be the backup when he could have potentially gone somewhere else to get a starting job like Miami. I know they were in talks with him. So I think he's out of the question. That leaves Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Here's the problem. If they're actually available on the free agent market, it's going to be because Tampa Bay and Tennessee, respectively, want to move on from them. Right? 5 years of Mariota, 5 years of Jameis Winston. They've had 5 years worth of chances to get a big contract extension, and they couldn't show anything that would make them worthy of that. Why would you want to sign them? Third group is just the backups and the scrubs. So you're not going to move on from Prescott there. So free agency is pretty much a bust. Nobody to get in free agency. The trade market is next. It's rare that a team is going to actually look to trade their starting quarterback. So, therefore, most of the quarterbacks that would actually potentially be on the move via the trade market won't be as good as Dak Prescott. And then, of course, you have the draft. So you can go into the draft. You can take a quarterback maybe in the first round. Maybe you want to wait a little bit. But here's the thing. NFL teams are desperate for quarterbacks. The better the quarterback, the better the chance of winning the Super Bowl. Teams should be doing anything and everything to get an established and proven guy at the position. And plus, with the Cowboys specifically, to me, they're in more of a win-now mode. You can't be like, well, we're going to take this rookie and develop him. You don't have time to do that. Because all their young players, whether it be Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, defensive players, are all coming up on their contracts soon. You're going to need to choose who you want to resign, who you don't. The core is going to start falling apart. You're going to have to commit to certain guys and let other guys go. You want to be winning now. Right? You want to create sustained success, yes. But you want to win now. Dak Prescott's the best guy for that. He realizes it. That's why he turns down this contract. Here's something else to remember right now. There's the franchise tag. So if they can't come to an agreement on a contract next offseason or whenever, right? If they can't come to an agreement by next offseason, Cowboys could just, slap the franchise tag on him. This year, for 2019, a quarterback under the franchise tag would get paid just under $25 million. So the floor for Dak Prescott is $25 million for next year. And then you can go back to the negotiating table and try to get another long-term deal. He's not going to accept less than 25. He knows the Cowboys are desperate to get a quarterback, and he's the best guy for the job in Dallas. He's been there at that, after the season, he'll have been there for 4 years, knows the system, hopefully works well with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and the receiving core. The defense, I think, is going to be good. Here's the thing. The Cowboys this year are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. They are. Because of their defense, and if Dak Prescott can step up. So, if Dak Prescott looks at himself and says, I'm going to play well, this team's going to play well, we're going to make the playoffs, hopefully make a playoff run, and I'm going to get paid. That's what he sees here. If it doesn't work out, he's still going to be one of the best options. If not, he's still going to be the best option for the Cowboys to sign and be their quarterback down the road. And the minimum is, and if you can't come to a contract, just put the franchise tag on him. But, give it another year. Figure out, okay, is this the guy we want to sign for the Cowboys? They probably will realize, yeah, this is the guy we want. And if the Cowboys wanted to, they could give him the franchise tag and bring in somebody through the draft. Bring in some competition. And then Dak has to prove himself again. But ultimately, here it is at the end of the day. The Cowboys are going to be desperate for a quarterback because they're going to have the defensive pieces, they're going to have the offensive pieces, they're going to have everything besides the quarterback. So they need the quarterback. Dak Prescott's the best guy for the job. They're going to pay him, right? They have to pay him to re-sign him. And if the worst possible scenario for Dak Prescott is $25 million on the franchise tag, the best possible case scenario is they do really well this year. He does really well this year. Maybe he gets more than $30 million. But at the very least, here's the thing you have to remember. The NFL, right, unlike the NBA and MLB, contracts aren't fully guaranteed. We don't know, right, maybe it's $30 million per year, but it's not a lot of guaranteed money. Right? Maybe that's why he turns it down. Maybe he's not looking for a ton more than $30 million in average salary, but he wants a little bit more guaranteed money. That's entirely plausible. But again, the Cowboys are going to be desperate for a quarterback. Dak Prescott's the best guy for the job. That's why I believe him not signing this contract now makes a lot of sense. There's a ton of potential to get more money and very little potential to lose money from the money he was just offered. All right, so let's move on to the running back position. There are two guys currently holding out at running back. You have Melvin Gordon of the Chargers and Ezekiel Elliott from the Cowboys. And here's what I want to hammer home in this episode. And by the time you're done with this episode, this is what I want you to remember. In my mind, you can either pay the quarterback, pay the running back, or pay neither. But you should not be paying both. And a championship team does not pay both. Let's look at the last 10 years, the last 10 Super Bowl champions. They're the cap hit for the quarterback and their running backs. If you look back, right, from 2018, 2017, 16, and 15, right, Patriots a couple times, you had the Eagles, the Broncos. No running back on any of these rosters made more than $4 million. And that was the Eagles with Darren Sproles in 2017. Darren Sproles didn't even play, he was injured. The Broncos in 2015 had C.J. Anderson making less than $1 million. Now, there are two exceptions to what I was just saying with really cheap running backs on these Super Bowl championship teams. There's two exceptions to this rule in the last 10 years. Number one, you have the 2013 Seattle Seahawks, had Marshawn Lynch. I believe he was, fourth paid running back in the league. He was making upwards of $8 million. You know why that was able to work out? Because they were paying Russell Wilson, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, at least now. Right? A great quarterback. They're paying him his rookie money. He was a third-round pick. He's making somewhere around $700K, maybe a little bit less. $700,000 for your quarterback, you can afford to pay your running back. The other exception was the Saints in 2009. They had Reggie Bush, who I believe was the top paid running back that year. Drew Brees was the 14th highest paid quarterback. So it worked out. You didn't pay the quarterback as much. You got a bargain on him so you can afford to pay the running back. But all these other teams, they may pay their quarterback a ton, but they're not paying their running backs anything. They're not paying them a lot. It's simple. So so there's three guys right now in the league, right? There's Todd Gurley, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, who on average are making upwards of $10 million a season, on average, over their contract extension. David Johnson signed his contract last year. You want to know why I wasn't critical of it? At least last year, they had Josh Rosen, who was a rookie guy. He can have his rookie contract for 4 years. They signed David Johnson to a 3-year extension, matched up perfectly. David Johnson's extension would end. Josh Rosen's 4th year would end. You can move on from the running back if you want. You could re-sign him, whatever. Now they have Kyler Murray, so it works out even better. Kyler Murray, another rookie quarterback. You have him on a bargain, you can afford to pay the running back. The Jets signed Le'Veon Bell to a 4-year contract. Sam Darnold has 3 more years on his rookie deal, plus the 5th-year option. You get Sam Darnold on the bargain, you can afford to pay Le'Veon Bell. The one I will be critical of is the Los Angeles Rams, and this is the situation that both these teams, the Chargers and the Cowboys, face. Todd Gurley's contract extension will kick in next year. He'll make a ton of money. Jared Goff, he's going to make a ton of money starting next year. And I think, I'm not even sure he's the guy for the Rams. But right now, he is going to be the guy. They don't have anybody else. They're going to pay both of them. They're already paying some receivers, some defensive players. They're going to pay for it, though. There are some positions that are going to get really weak really fast for the Rams. If you're the Cowboys or the Chargers, you don't want that. And it's simple. With the Chargers, right, you have Melvin Gordon holding out. They're not sweating it. Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson can play the position. And if you get partway through the season and they can't, maybe you cave on Melvin Gordon. I wouldn't, but maybe they do. But guess what? You're paying the quarterback. You're paying Phillip Rivers. Now, the argument for Melvin Gordon would be, if you think Phillip Rivers is going to retire after this year, you may as well say, you know what, Melvin, we want you back. We'll sign you to this contract, and then maybe they go into the draft and bring in a rookie who's on his rookie deal. You're getting a bargain at quarterback. You can afford to pay Melvin Gordon. But they can do that contract negotiation after the year when they know more about Phillip Rivers and they know more about the guys currently on the team. Simple. But with Ezekiel Elliott, and the Cowboys are they're also pretty interesting, right? But we talked about Dak Prescott. He's coming up. They're going to pay him. Regardless of whether he signs the contract now, signs it next offseason, or they give him the franchise tag, they're going to be paying him a lot of money. The Cowboys should not make a mistake here and sign Zeke. If they sign Zeke and they sign Dak, and they're probably going to want to sign Amari Cooper, what about your defensive players like Byron Jones, Jalen Smith? I mean, Leighton Vander Esch is young. He's coming up not for a few years. But you have young pieces on defense. The defense is why this team will ultimately succeed this year. The offensive line, currently one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in football. One of the reasons Zeke has been so effective, one of the reasons Dak Prescott has been so effective, that offensive line is going to take a hit if you start paying Dak and Zeke. It's simple. Trade away Ezekiel Elliott. Trade him away. And here's what the Cowboys should do this year. Their first 3 weeks of the season, they have the Giants, Redskins, and Dolphins. I believe Giants and Dolphins are at home. They go on the road to face the Redskins. Whether or not you have Zeke, you should win those games. Those teams are bad teams. They stink. You should be able to beat those teams if you're the Cowboys. And if Dak Prescott believes he's worth more than $30 million a year, he should be winning those games. The Cowboys should start the season off 3-0, regardless of whether they have Zeke or not. In that time, they have a rookie. They have a kid, Pollard. I believe he's a 4th-round pick, I want to say. They've been talking him up in camp, although I think that has more to do with the fact that Zeke's not there and they want to make themselves feel good about the situation. See what he can do. Because going forward, having him plus a couple other guys on, a couple $1 million a year contracts ultimately probably works out just as well, if not better, than having Ezekiel Elliott. Because even if you save $5 to $10 million at the position, that money can go somewhere else. It can go to some other player that you want to re-sign and keep for a long time in Dallas. Don't sign Zeke. Do not do it. The running back is not the important position. If you look back at all the quarterbacks that are winning the Super Bowl, they're all great quarterbacks, right? We can argue about Joe Flacco, but he played well during that playoffs. Right? All these guys played well during their playoff run. Maybe the guy that didn't was Peyton Manning, but they had an amazing defense. They're paying their running back $600,000. That's what they were paying their running back. They won the Super Bowl that year. If you just look at it, the data tells you over the past 10 years, the teams that don't pay their running backs and pay their quarterbacks, you can only pay one. They only pay one. They never pay both. Simple. So with the Cowboys right now, they shouldn't re-sign Zeke. And the Chargers, they can wait a year on Melvin Gordon. They'll be fine without him this year. And if they get partway through the season, they don't think they can make a Super Bowl run without him, they can go and sign him. Right? Go and sign him. Who knows how much longer Phillip Rivers is going to play. If he retires after this year, they can just bring Melvin Gordon back. Draft a guy, in the draft, bring in a rookie, have him on a rookie deal. You can afford to sign Melvin Gordon. But simple. Here's what I want to hammer home. Again, you can pay the quarterback. You can pay the running back. You don't have to pay either. But you can't pay both. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this edition of the Courtside Podcast. Please subscribe or leave a like wherever you may be listening. I'm going to start being more active on Twitter, at the Courtside Pod. Go check it out. Link will be in the description. In the next episode of the podcast, episode 26, we'll be looking at preseason week 2, all the breakout stars, all the news, and we'll be looking at other NFL storylines, including possibly looking at Tom Brady's contract, my thoughts on him being a free agent after the season. Until then, this is Andrew Cohn. I'll see you next time.